If you are a regular visitor to our Mysteries channel, you must have noticed that I returned to my obsession with Gravity Falls last month. This meant not only rewatching the series, but also all the supplementary material I could find, including the books, comics, and especially the shorts. After the success of the first season of Gravity Falls, Disney released several series of shorts, awaiting the second season to come out. The first series is titled Dipper's Guide to the Unexplained, and one of those shorts always seemed very interesting to me. The third short is called The Mailbox, and Dipper shows us a mailbox he found in the middle of the forest. With Seuss's help, they put a letter, and to their surprise, they receive a quick reply. It turns out in this magical mailbox is a being who knows everything. They send questions with all their doubts about the universe, until Mabel ruins everything, sending a video of herself sticking gummy worms up her nose, making the omniscient being on the other side of the mailbox say the age of human enlightenment will never come, and the mailbox self-destructs. But did Dipper really manage to ask an important question before Mabel arrived?
When is the end of the world? 3012. Huh, we got a while.
And that would be the end of it if this weren't Gravity Falls, where something that starts as an innocent joke in a filler short ends up being the starting point for discovering the end of times, the destruction of the world, and the true apocalypse of Gravity Falls. Or something like that. Will there be spoilers for Gravity Falls? In fact, the information given by the mailbox is insignificant. What gave me the idea to start this video appears at the end of Weirdmageddon Part 1, the first part of the final special of Gravity Falls. During the episode, Bill starts Weirdmageddon, controlling the town of Gravity Falls. Everything falls in chaos, and Bill threatens turning all of reality into a desolate wasteland. This is why during Bill's parties, while celebrating Phase 1 of his plan, the Time Baby arrives with his time agents, accusing him of violating the laws of space-time and possessing Blendin. The Time Baby explains that he could destroy the fabric of existence if Bill continues with his plans, so he must surrender or face his tantrum. Bill's response is to vaporize all the agents and the baby itself, easily disintegrating it, and the episode continues as if nothing happened, except that at the end of the episode there is a code that expands the situation a little more. During the credits, we can find an encrypted code in Villeneuve, whose key can be found in this part of the episode in a graffiti in the bottom left that says Silbufer 1. Once the code is deciphered, it will take 1,000 years for the molecules of the Time Baby to reform, and when he returns he will be in a very bad mood. This is a pretty clear clue, considering the series takes place in the summer of 2012. The Time Baby would wake up very upset 1,000 years later in the year 3012, and would probably cause the end of the world. Even in the first season episode titled The Time Traveler's Pig, Dipper and Mabel travel to different eras. One of these times is in the distant future, where we see the Time Baby destroying the world. Juan heard Mabel saying that the future looks great, but that's only half of the answer. Yes, after seeing that trip to the future, it's quite clear that 1,000 years later, the Time Baby reconstitutes and destroys the world because it wakes up angry. But there's a problem. This creates a paradox, because now there are two Time Babies at once. You see, before the end of the series, the fact that the Time Baby would destroy the Earth was a very popular theory, but because it had already been on Earth for eons, trapped inside a glacier. The first mention of this is in episode Irrational Treasure, first season, where Dipper and Mabel discover the Northwest family conspiracy. During this episode, they discover many strange things, mainly finding the 8th and half-president of the US. Quentin Tremblay, and the fact that it was he who actually founded Gravity Falls, and not the ancestor of the Northwest family. They discover all this thanks to a classified document called the Northwest Conspiracy. And the curious thing is that this is not all that the file hides, it also has a short section of US government secrets. And well, it's easy to see why this gave rise to the theory. A huge and evil time-traveling baby from another dimension is frozen in an Antarctic glacier. Fortunately, glaciers never melt, so we should be fine. This, combined with what we see in the Time Traveler's Pig, gave a lot of weight to the theory that the Time Baby would break free and conquer the world in the future. Later on, we discover that he controls the future and is the protector of the timeline and the leader of the time police, so everything fit perfectly. In fact, in the book Dipper and Mabel's Guide to Mystery and Fun, there is a section where Bill Cipher reveals that global warming will eventually release something frozen in a glacier almost as powerful as Bill, that is, the Time Baby. Before Weirdmageddon came out, all of this made sense, but now supposedly the apocalypse happens because the Time Baby from the future reconstitutes itself after being destroyed by Bill, and not due to its release from the glacier. So what is going on here? And what happened to the second Time Baby, the one still trapped in the glacier? An explanation I saw on some internet forums comes directly from how time travel works within Gravity Falls, because they have different rules than what we are used to. If you paid attention to the episode The Time Traveler's Pig, you'd notice Dipper and Mabel did not run into their original versions when they went back in time to redo their day. It's strange, because if you go back in time, you are supposed to be careful not to meet your past self to avoid a paradox, but in the episode, they don't even talk about it. Dipper and Mabel travel back in time and take the place of their past versions without any problem, taking advantage of the fact that those versions are nowhere to be found. It seems strange to me that it's never mentioned, but it appears that if you travel through time in the Gravity Falls universe, your present version automatically replaces your past version, thus avoiding any paradoxes. Don't ask me how the sudden disappearances of Dipper and Mabel are explained every time they are replaced by their future versions, because this is never discussed at any point in the episode, but it seems to be a fairly consistent rule, as neither Dipper, nor Mabel, nor any time traveler ever meets a previous version of themselves. If we keep this in mind, it seems that the paradox solves itself automatically, because it would mean that the future baby automatically replaces the one inside the glacier during Weirdmageddon, and when Bill disintegrates it. There are no longer two time babies, but only one, and it will reconstitute in a millennium. But to be honest, this explanation doesn't fully convince me. We are swapping one paradox for another, since the Time Baby would not have a real origin. It reconstitutes, destroys the world, calms down, forming the Time Police, then traveling to the past to be vaporized by Bill Cipher and start the cycle again. This is a time paradox, almost erasing the entire story of its origin in the glacier. Besides, I think it should age a bit between cycles. I mean, it could work if we make several strange assumptions. But there is another explanation. We know that the Time Baby is different. It is an interdimensional being. And thanks to questions and answers from Bill Cipher a few years ago, we know that it is the last offspring of an extinct race of time giants weighing 3 trillion tons. He has innate temporal powers, so he may not be subject to the rules of those who use time tapes to travel to the past. And besides, I found it very strange that he was the only one who showed up in person to be vaporized by Bill Cipher. Yes, in case you didn't know, it is confirmed in Journal 3 that all the other agents we see in that scene, except Blendon, were just holograms sent by the Time Police who didn't trust Bill Cipher. They were all holograms, except for the Time Baby, who surely knew that was going to happen and still went straight to his destruction. And as if that weren't enough, the largest paranormal concentration point noted by Ford in his detailed and comprehensive Journal 3 after the end of the series is in Antarctica, right where the Time Baby should be trapped. This kept constantly going around in my head until I realized it could be the solution to all this confusion, and more. So the Time Baby is released from the glacier by global warming, right? Well, global warming will peak during the next century, which means that the original Time Baby is very likely released from the glacier at least 900 years before the end of the world. This is speculation. If he conquers the planet after waking up, it would give us a solution to the whole paradox. Because it means the conflict destroys the planet in the year 3012 is a war between both babies. One being the newly reconstituted, and the other the Supreme Emperor of Earth for several centuries. The conflict would leave one to rebuild everything. It is thought that the Time Police solve the paradox of a Time Baby who lives through its destruction over and over again. It explains why the baby doesn't use a hologram knowing it will be destroyed by Bill Cipher. It's because he will reform in 1,000 years, and that the destruction of the planet is part of the timeline. And as the protector of that timeline, it is his duty to ensure that everything happens as it should. Or at least that's what I believe, perhaps. So, enjoyed the video? Give it a like if you did, subscribe, comment on other mysteries you'd like to see, and tell me which explanation convinces you more. See you in the next video. Goodbye.